Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to finish creating my header component, but I'm going to speed up my video since creating HTML is not the point of this blog or this video. So as you can see here, I finished creating and styling my navigation bar. I did end up installing Bootstrap. I'm familiar with Bootstrap, it's easier for me, but you can do your own styling or use an external library as I mentioned. I do have my own CSS file here, it's called navbar, and I ended up creating another CSS file for my root component. I created a folder called assets in my source folder. It's not a bad idea to manage all your assets like CSS, JavaScript, or images that you're going to import to your document in a folder. So another component that I'm going to create here is going to be called menu.js. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to speed up my video and be right back when I finish creating my component. So I finished creating the menu component, and again, I use Bootstrap classes, and I do have my own styling, and it's just a HTML structure. Now I'm going to again import it into our root component. So I'm going to say menu, and VS Code is nice enough to automatically import this component for me. And as you can see, my component is being rendered. And finally, I'm going to create another component. I'm going to call it item. And this would be basically our menu items. Again, I'm going to speed up my video and be back when I finish creating this component as well. Okay, so I finished creating my items component, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to import it inside my menu component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to my menu component and just add item. And I also have to import item from item, yeah. And let's save it. Let's reload. Okay. Now you can see my component, my item component here. So we have yet to see React's power and how it can help us to create interfaces. So far, we just created 3 components, nested them inside each other to create this simple menu. But let's say this pizza place has 6 pizza menus, so 6 pizza items, right? So they need this code to be repeated 6 times. If it was just vanilla JavaScript or HTML, we needed to copy this code 6 times and give it different name and description each time. But with React, what we can do is we can simply copy and paste this component. So now you can understand the reusability part of React components. So this is a small building block that we can nest into our menu to create as many items as we want. So let's say we need 6 items here. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Done. Now let's take this concept one step further, and let's say we do have another menu and it's for sides or drinks. So what I can do, I can go to my root component, the app.js, and start copying my menu. So let's say the second menu would be for my side, and the last one would be for my drinks. But now we do have a problem here. Since these components are a copy of each other, they are showing the same thing, and that's not what we want. We want different content in each one of them, and that's what we are going to address next. Now let's take another look at our item component and see how we managed to insert this image into our elements. So what I could have done, I could have used just this address inside my source here as normal in any HTML code, but what I did was I import. So basically you can import anything you want into your container. So I imported this image and gave it a name, and now this is a variable. I can use this variable wherever I want. I can reuse it as many times as I want. It's faster, easier, and it reduces mistakes. So whenever you want to pass something as a variable to your JSX, you can put it inside a set of curly braces. So now that we know how to pass variables into our code, let's talk about another concept of React, which is called props. And the way I like to think about props and the way I understand it, well, props works very similar to how we can pass variables in our Java methods, right? So in Java, we can pass a string or an integer or a boolean or whatever, an array list to another method for processing or for displaying it. And we do have the same thing in React, and it's called props. So by passing props, we can pass an argument to our component. Okay, so let's head back to our root component, and let's pass a prop to our header, to our navigation, and let's call it name, and give it a value of city Caesarea. Okay, so now we are passing this prop to our header component. So let's see our header component. Now we can get our props inside this parentheses that we do have in our arrow function. So if I say name here, not class name, name, which is what we defined here, this name is now imported here, and I can simply change this to name, and when I save it, it's going to show you the same thing. But now I can just change the name of my pizza place easily. So I can call it the best pizza ever. So now that we know how to pass props into our components, let's change the name of our menus. So the first one should be pizzas, the next one should be sides, and finally it should be drinks. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pass a name and call it pizza, right? And I'm just going to copy paste this here and here. For this, I'm going to name it to sides and drinks. And as you can see, it gets very fast all of a sudden, developing with React. Now I can receive my name in my menu component, and instead of this pizzas here, which is static, I can just use name variable, which I pass to my component, and boom. As you can see, I do have pizza, maybe pizzas, and yeah, pizza, sides, and drinks, all done in just a second. All right, so now let's change the description of our pizza menu as well. So let's create another prop, call it description, for example. We can pass as many props as we want. So for this one, I'm going to say 50 pizzas made with fresh ingredients. Yeah, and save it. Now I'm going to head back to my menu, and I'm going to get the description as well. Description here, and instead of this code that I generated, I can simply paste description. And if I save my code, you can see that the description for our pizzas changed. But if we look at the sides or drinks, they are empty since we're not passing any prop with the name description to our second or third menu. So now that we gave our menus a name and a description, let's do the similar thing for our items as well. So let's give our first item a name, and in this case, I'm going to call it barbecue chicken, and let's give it a description as well. So let's say barbecue sauce with seasoned grilled chicken, for example, and we do have a price. So when we need to pass the float or integer, we have to use curly braces. So I'm going to pass like 1250 here. And we also have an image, right? So what I'm going to do here again, I'm going to go back to my item component, and I'm going to cut this import from here, and I'm going to paste it down here. So let's paste it like this. So now I can pass it the barbecue pizza as an image. Now so the reason I'm getting this error is because we don't have this variable here anymore. So I'm going to get rid of this for a second to this also as well, to make maybe give our source an empty, and let's reload. Okay, now we're not getting any errors. So let's say we are passing the name and the description, the image, and the price, right? And for the source, I'm going to use image. And boom, as you can see, the image is the image is imported here. For the name, I can just say name. For the description, I can just simply say description. And for the price, let's make it a price variable. Okay, so as you can see, I changed my first component. And I can do the same thing with every single one of these components. So I did manage to give each and every item a name, description, price, and image. And this is the final product that you can see in my live server. So as you can see, each item has its own picture, name, and description, plus price. Although they are the same components, they do have different variables. Now, this is as far as I'm going for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. I try to keep it simple. I'm still learning React myself. I'm a novice. I'm a beginner as well. But it's not that hard. Once you get into it, you are going to enjoy it. So hopefully you guys can do it yourself. I do have some instruction in my blog if you do want to start your own project. And I do have a video as well on how to create your own project as well. So thank you guys, and see you on the next post.